Excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Hey, all, Robert Scott Bell back here answering questions of the day from you. And this one comes from MJ, and she asked about how to nebulize colloidal silver. And, you know, I talk about it, and I've talked about it, I think, in The Truth About Cancer, I mentioned it as well. And I didn't have a demonstration, live demonstration. So some people are like, well, how do you do it? I've seen you do the silver aloe protocol, but how do you do the nebulizing? So let's take a bioactive silver hydrosol, like sovereign silver, like I do. This is a portable handheld nebulizer right here. Omron is one of the brands. There's a bunch of them out there that micronize it in a way for safe inhalation. And depending on the type you have, will determine how to actually do it. But you take it out. This is a nebulizer cup right here. And you basically take the silver. This is so simple. It's just, I realize that if you haven't done it, you don't know, but this is going to demystify it for you. Pour in approximately a teaspoon, which is about 5 ml, or less if there's smaller amounts, but you can stop it and start it at will. That's the beautiful thing that you can do with silver, colloidal silver. And again, I prefer the hydrosol form because of the purity of what we're dealing with here. So then we snap that back in, turn it into the position that you want it, where it depends on what you're using or how you're using it. And then for this one, we plug it in. Very simple here. Just a little addition here. And then when I press play, as I'm used to pressing play, but no, when I press the button, which is right here, makes a little noise, and you can see it instantly sends out a mist that you can safely breathe in. And the first time you do it, you might actually cough because it's so pure. And if there are any bacterial species relative to there, they're going to immediately implode. We've talked about it with the use in the sinus cavity or in the eyes. If there's a bacterial infection present, the silver ions disrupt the membrane. So you may cough initially because it's just such a cleansing agent. It's like an astringent. But once you get past that, you can just breathe in and breathe out, or you can hold it right over. Now, there are forms of these things. You can breathe by having a mask over your mouth and nose together if you have a sinus issue and you want to drive it high into the sinus cavity, which is way up here. Sometimes it's harder to put liquid in that deeply, so to speak. So this would last about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the nebulizer. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And basically, you know, it's as simple as that. You just run it through 10 to 15 minutes, or if you only want to do 5 minutes, you can stop it before it's through, and then you might see there's liquid left in the nebulizer cup, and you can keep going, or you can say that's enough, or pass it on to your kids, right? If you got a family that nebulizes together, they'll stay together healthily. So it's that simple. Just as a reminder, it's not a toxic, dangerous heavy metal for some of the dunder-headed doctors out there that don't study metal toxicology and assume that silver. And listen, I don't want to be too hard on you, because I assumed it too at first, because I was focused in healing people by detoxifying metals from their body: mercury, cadmium, arsenic, lead, aluminum, and the like. And then I had to be certain that silver had a benign interaction in terms of your healthy cells. And it does, in fact. At this level, we're talking 10 parts per million. That's about a 5x in homeopathic terms. But we're talking micrograms. We're not dealing with gram toxicity. But as I've talked about, and will be in the forthcoming book that I'm writing about silver, that even at 2,000 times the reference dose, according to the EPA, we're not getting any gut ecology disruption in terms of biodiversity. Zero impact, negative impact on biodiversity. You can't say that about mercury, cadmium, arsenic, lead, aluminum, but silver you can. So you do have safety there, because it heals tissue. It downregulates tissue inflammation. It upregulates regeneration of tissue. And in my book that I wrote with Ty Bollinger, Unlock the Power to Heal, you can see Ty and me. We have a chapter that we added specifically to lung health. This is, again, we want you to have information. We talk about the free flow of air and lungs and silver. Silver can carry up to 10 times its atomic weight in oxygen. Oxygen is devastating to cancer cells, by the way, if you aren't familiar with that. So there's a lot of good reasons that you can do this at home. It's safe to do. Omron is a good quality name. There are many others out there, but this is the one I have that I plug in. And it's that simple to do. Hopefully that's helpful to you. Obviously, if you have a serious pulmonary lung issue, I don't want you to ignore going to medical doctors when appropriate, emergency care for keeping you alive. But outside of that, we usually able to keep you from having to go there particularly with those that have been through rounds and rounds of antibiotics for pneumonia. And you can see this technique, as it's been reported to me many times, people that have been able to reverse pneumonias in as little as 24 hours through the use of the active state of silver in a vaporous state for safe inhalation. All right, folks, I hope that's helpful to you. This is what we do here on the Robert Scott Bell Show, 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. We bring the power to heal back where it belongs with each and every one of you.
The Robert Scott Bell Show.